FAPESP-funded Intermidia project, whose full title reads Towards an Intermediate History of Brazilian Cinema, exploring intermediality as a historiographic method. And it's a bilateral project involving members of the University of Reading and of the Federal University of São Carlos in Brazil. We also have non-academic partners, which are the Tate Modern in Britain, in London, the Reading Film Theatre here in Reading, and the Cinemateca Brasileira in São Paulo, Brazil. This is the second and last of our international conferences. The first one took place in the University of São Carlos, Federal University of São Carlos, exactly a year ago, and focused on the first part of our research, which is an attempt at reconstructing the history of Brazilian cinema through an intermediate perspective. The second conference is going to focus now on the applicability of intermediality in order to look at the history of cinemas as a whole.
So yeah, no, I'm delighted, and since I'm involved with Brazilian culture and intermediality, so all of it interests me. So, the academia is very iconophobic. So historians, in the old days, maybe not now, but they never think of film as a valid medium for history, because every historical film, they say it got it wrong, right? As if written history never made mistakes, right? So, and I think it goes back to a religious idea that there's the Bible, there's the sacred text, there's the Torah, there's the Quran. So everything that's palpable, that's visual, that's visceral, that's corporeal is a descent into a lower thing. So it's changing now, but it's so slow. And even towards cinema studies, there's the idea of historians. If you do a history of cinema, historians don't think it's real history. But it is history, but it involves images. So for them, real history is always books, and there's an archive and a dusty library somewhere, and then you discover a trove of artifacts, and then you do real history. For me, it's all history, right? And for me, every film is historical, not just history films, because every film represents the history of acting, the history of technology. I'm impressed. I think it's high level, yeah, and you know, it's very theoretical and in a good way. And then I just went to a panel, which I thought was terrific. So no, I'm very impressed with the level. I think Lucia is doing an amazing job.
Yeah, it's a really good selection.
Yeah, it's really a center of theoretical reflection. Of course, as a Brazilophile, I'm delighted with all the attention to Brazil. So, yeah.
Intermediality studies has focused very much on theory, then on various kinds of intermedial analysis of films. This is what I see and I find very interesting in this project and in many of the papers related to this project, that they are trying to define what Brazilian cinema is and what Brazilian culture transpires through cinema, and the relationship, this vast network of relationships with other cultures.
Oh yes, it's a very, very good colloquium. You know, the level of all the presentations, the diversity of points of view that were brought to our discussion, the rigorous conceptual level of you know, all the scholars who are here to present their research, the integration of the different meetings and you know, the panel sessions, the keynote speeches. So it's really one of the best colloquiums that I've been. So I'm very glad to be here.
I've been working on intermediality without really thinking about it theoretically, so I think that's going to help me be more conscious of my approach to working with different media.
Luciana Zarro
Georgia keynote speaking. It was amazing when she was talking about the history of Brazilian cinema and theater and the connections between these two arts. I didn't know so much about that, and historically it's very important for Brazilian cultural researchers and stuff. So yeah, it was a pleasure to be here, but I'm really surprised with this broader aspect of intermediality.